This is a quick test on an auger system I'm attempting to build for a fuel feed on a carbon gasifier. Anyway, that's the size of the fuel there, the average size. And this is the rig I'm working with. Basically, that's the auger, the shaft, and the discharge. This is the fuel hopper. Actually, that's the wrong direction. But I'm eventually going to take this thing apart and use it as a driver if it has enough speed and torque to do what I want it to do. If it doesn't, I have this motor here, this transmission, and this extensive planetary gear set here. This is a 2-speed transmission out of a DeWalt drill. Sorry. And it can provide 2 different speeds and different torques. And I also have this piece here that I salvaged off an angle grinder. This one here, as a matter of fact. And it's about a 3.2 to 1 ratio. I don't know what the exact ratio is, but you get about 3 turns out of this one my hand's on per 1 turn out of that. So I may be able to incorporate that somehow if needs be, but I'm just playing around with ratios, and I'm going to do a quick test. I'm going to fill that hopper up and see what happens. See how long it takes to drain. Okay, the hopper's full. Getting ready to do a test run to see what the fuel looks like after it passes through the current dimensions we're using. I want to see how long it takes to empty this tank, and just want to observe the torque features of this small drill. I want to know if this motor is going to be strong enough. Also want to be looking at the RPMs, all that good stuff. So that's where we're at. Okay, so it looks like it's going to really be pulverizing that stuff pretty good. This motor's barely strong enough. Pretty sure I'm turning the right direction. It is grinding the carbon up. Oops. That is not what I wanted to happen. So I would say that motor's pretty good. The RPMs are okay. It's going to have a power source hooked up to it. It won't be run from battery. Okay. So what I want to do, So this is what we're looking at. Hope that isn't blinding you. You can see the particle size that we started with, and this is what we got out. So perfectly sized particles. I'm very happy. That means I don't have to do any further machining. This is just about the size that I would want it to be. This is the size of activated carbon for fish tank recharge, stuff like that. Some of the pieces were as big as, 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters. Let's try something here. So you can see that. So that's awesome. I'm very happy with the results of that. So I can just take average size charcoal of probably any size, throw it in this hopper without processing it in any way, and end up with the perfect fuel size. I wish I had the dimensions of all that. Okay, let's do a quick time test on how long it takes to fill this little beaker up. Hopefully the wind doesn't mess me up. Getting a lot of powder this time around. That may be a problem. So this voltage is not going to work. I'm having to unjam it. If the bit's lifted up from the face of the tank, it will run a little better. My battery's dying. I can feel it crunching that stuff up in there pretty good. Okay. So that's about 150 milliliters. Well, I guess it's not quite as powdery as I thought. Nice. Man, that didn't put a dent in that at all. I was running it earlier too. I ran a little bit out of it. I was expecting this to be down a little bit further than that. Not too shabby. A little bit powdery, too powdery. One thing that will help this from bogging down is eventually this bit will be lifted up about a 1/4 inch, so that crossbar that's in there isn't actually grinding up against the bottom of the tank. That causes a lot of friction. Aluminum on hard steel is a pretty sticky situation. Okay, the discharge orifice is 18.9 millimeters. I don't know what's going on with this thing here. This is the oxygen bottle valve that was initially in there. I don't have the specs on the drill bit just yet, but this is just a quick clip of my spiral steam grate. Basically what this is a steam pressurized air grate that will serve three purposes actually. One of the purposes is to react steam with the red hot carbon inside this combustion chamber. The second is to blast slag and ash out of this grate area, which will be clogged very quickly if it didn't have something, and I'm hoping the steam will spray out and spray it out of the way. I may have not properly oriented the orifices. Some of them don't face the way you would want them to. This one here is in a good spot. It kind of hits in the middle there and blasts downward a little bit. Not all of them are faced that well. They're kind of hard to see. There's one there. I did what I could to get them in there where you would want them. There's one there. So hopefully that will work, but the most important feature of this steam grate is the fuel stream dilution that it will enable. And what it's going to do is dilute the fuel stream exiting the discharge with steam, and hopefully that will extinguish the internal combustion that was observed in the last test runs. Just a simplified illustration. If we had a tube with carbon burning in it as before, basically all of our usable gas blast out the discharge on fire because we are combusting in excess oxygen. But the idea here is using this acronym. Well, it's not really an acronym, but it basically stands for Steam Diffusion Fuel System or Fuel Stream Management. And what I hope to achieve is a gas stream of usable fuel that will then pass through a condenser to remove the steam, and then what we have is an extremely rich usable fuel stock that contains oxygen as well. And if you've ever seen the way most gasifiers operate, is they work very subtly. You know, they're very fine-tuned, low speed burn, just a little bit of a cherry in there kind of thing. You know, they're not roaring rockets, and that's what this thing is going to be here, is a roaring rocket. It is going to run at red hot, just melting, falling apart, blazing temperatures, maximum full throttle, and it is going to eject a fairly large fuel stock. The only problem is normally is it would burn, like we've seen in the previous video. So if I blast steam out this thing continually during the entire operation, hopefully the steam will keep this grate clear of clogs, and it will extinguish the internal combustion. This will be housed inside of tubing, by the way. We just need to observe its effects naked first before I go covering it up. And secondly, hopefully the steam will react with some of the red hot carbon down here in this lower area. I still have the 4 injectors on here. There are 4 injection ports that you probably can't see. That here are the inputs for them here. So they're about, they're about right there. That's just a preheat wrap. But anyway, that's what's going to be taking place here, and that is the idea behind this. Now, the thing I'm worried about is I don't know if this little steam generator I have can crank out the steam needed. It's going to take quite a bit of steam to do this, and I'm also worried that I won't have enough steam to blast slag out of the way. I don't know yet, so that's the trouble I'm having. I'm not sure if I have footage on how badly clogged this intake screen became, because before we ran it in this direction, where this was the intake and the fire traveled out this side here. This time I'm going to be passing air into it, and it will flow down this way, and the discharge stream will pass out the bottom. The reason for that was because the last time I ran it, I observed an effect where the fire would be the hottest up here in this area, right around the exit, because a lot of the internal combustion was taking place. It was like a little jet engine in this shroud here. And that was a problem. So now this time air is going to be coming in this way. Hopefully we'll get preheated by the convection of copper, and that way I think we'll be able to control the combustion chamber a little better, rather than having it travel up the fuel stream. It seemed like the intake was very cool, so down in this area here I was getting very low temperatures, so low that stainless steel screen was only turning yellow, which indicates, I believe, around 400 degrees. There was a screen inside of here, and I would have to check those numbers, but I'm pretty sure yellow is the first color on the tempering scale, and it is not very hot. It could be as low as 300 degrees. So there you have it.